I woke up to something that felt unreal. The first thing I noticed was a strange smell in the air, sharp and bitter, and then a sudden lightness around my head. My heart sank when I looked in the mirror. The hair I had taken years to grow, my long chestnut hair that reached my waist, was gone. Cut off in rough, uneven pieces. At first, I thought I had been attacked or robbed in my sleep, but the truth was even worse. On my dresser lay the same scissors my mother often used, and beside them was a sticky note that said, "You'll still look fine. Focus on your speech for Hannah's big day." That note hit me harder than the missing hair. My own parents had done this to me. The one chance I had to stand in front of people with confidence. To feel proud of myself at my sister's wedding had been stolen in a single night. As I stood there in shock, memories of my family's treatment toward me came flooding back. Hannah, my sister, was always the golden child. She had the violin lessons, the designer dresses, and even a trip to Paris when she graduated. I, on the other hand, got second-hand clothes and endless lectures about being thankful. While she was celebrated, I was managed, controlled, and often ignored. Even when I moved out at 19 and worked 2 jobs to stand on my own, I still said yes to her wedding invitation. Deep down, I hoped this event might be different. That maybe, for once, I could be seen as part of the family without competition. But what happened that night proved I was wrong. My parents had slipped NyQuil into my tea to make sure I stayed asleep while they cut my hair. It wasn't just about a haircut. It was about making sure I would never shine, not even for a single day. I called my roommate Becca as soon as I could, my voice shaking so badly I could barely explain what had happened. When she walked in and saw me, her eyes widened with shock. She didn't need me to say much. She knew instantly that this wasn't some accident, it was intentional. For a moment, she stayed quiet, and then she pulled out her phone. That was when she reminded me of the recordings I had made weeks earlier. Little clips of my parents saying cruel things that I had saved to share with my therapist. At the time, I thought they were just casual, hurtful remarks, but listening to them again made me realize there was a clear pattern. I had always been seen as a threat. Someone who needed to be hidden or cut down. Becca looked at me and said firmly, "You don't have to let them win. There's a way to make them listen." For the first time in my life, I felt the idea of fighting back was possible. When the rehearsal brunch came, I felt a strange mix of dread and calm. People were smiling, pretending everything was perfect, and I had the speech they expected me to give polished safe, full of sisterly praise. Instead of reading those empty lines, I walked up and spoke from my chest. I told everyone the truth about what had happened, about being drugged and having my hair cut while I slept. Then I played the recordings that showed my parents planning it, their voices cold and casual as if it were nothing. The room went silent. My mother's smile fell apart. My father started to shout, and my sister cried, but not the kind of tears I thought she'd have. Security came and escorted me out, but I knew the real moment had already happened. The truth was out, and nothing could put it back in the dark. I thought that would be the end of it. But it was only the beginning. Becca uploaded the full video of my speech online, and within hours it spread everywhere. People I had never met were sharing it, thanking me for saying words they had always held inside. It became more than just a family issue. It started a bigger conversation about favoritism, jealousy, and how families can hurt their own children. News outlets picked it up, bloggers wrote about it, and even celebrities reposted it. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. Instead of being cut down, I was being lifted up by strangers who understood my pain. What my parents had tried to use to shame me had turned into my strength. As the days turned into weeks, everything began to change for me. What started as a painful betrayal grew into something powerful. A wedding magazine reached out and featured my story, turning what my parents tried to destroy into a moment of beauty and pride. Soon after, I was contacted by a well-known fashion brand that wanted me to be part of a campaign called You Can T-Cut Power. They didn't just want me as a face, they wanted me to help create the vision behind it. For the first time in my life, I felt seen for my strength, not ignored for my silence. While I was building something new and meaningful, my family was facing the weight of their actions. The community that once admired them now looked at them with judgment. And even my sister's perfect marriage began to crack. Their world was falling apart, but mine was finally coming together. Months later, when my new office officially opened in the very town where I grew up, my parents showed up uninvited. They looked smaller, older, weighed down by the consequences of their choices. My mother hid behind sunglasses, and my father tried to act casual, as if nothing had ever happened. They told me they were proud, tried to call it a mistake, tried to smooth it over with empty words. But I didn't feel the need to yell or argue. I stood tall, surrounded by people who truly respected me, and reminded them that I no longer needed their approval. Before they left, I told them calmly, scissors may grow dull, but some girls only grow sharper. It was the last time I needed to see them. Because in that moment, I knew I had finally taken back all the power they tried to cut away. From that day forward, I no longer carried the weight of their approval or the scars of their betrayal. I understood that my worth was never something they could take from me, not with scissors, not with silence, not with cruelty. What they meant for humiliation became the reason I discovered my strength. I had turned pain into purpose and shame into power. My story wasn't just about revenge. It was about freedom, about proving that no one else has the right to decide how bright you shine. And with every step I took forward, I knew I was no longer the daughter they tried to hide. I was my own person, strong, unbreakable, and finally free.